No more clickbait, no more sound bites, and no more videos that are over before you blink. No more being told to click this or to share that because some people think you can't think. Choose a new way of doing things. Choose real people. Choose real stories. Choose the Real Talks podcast. I want to kick off by thanking each and every listener who has tuned into the show so far. In our first two episodes, we checked in with reigning All-Ireland champions, thanks to Brendan Maher of Tipperary and Dublin's Kevin McManamon. I'm delighted to say that over 5,000 people have now tuned into the show. So thanks again to everyone who has got in touch on Twitter, who has shared the links online, posted the podcast into WhatsApp groups, or just talked about it face-to-face with friends and helped to spread the word. One of the big things I learned this week is that success can be measured in more ways than one. In February of 2011, Wicklow footballer John McGrath was diagnosed with leukaemia and ended an intense spell of 4 cycles of chemotherapy. Within 6 months, he was back playing for his beloved Baltinglass, and a year later he was on the turf of Croke Park, winning a league title for his county. As we discussed the ups and downs of his recovery, I realised how fortunate I was to be sitting in the room with one of the most resilient and inspiring characters our national games have to offer. A man who at 30 years of age is now playing in his 11th season for Wicklow. So sit back, relax, and hear the story from the man himself. This podcast is brought to you thanks to the support of Kelly Bradshaw Dalton, who for over 20 years have been successfully selling, renting and managing property in the greater Dublin area. You can check out their website at kbd.ie for all your property needs. My name is Alan O'Mara, and you are listening to the 3rd episode of the Real Talks podcast.
And the Wicklow players perhaps sensing there's a scalp to be claimed here this afternoon. Early opportunity here for John McGrath, trying to create the room and get his shot away, right-footed, and that's a great start for Wicklow. McGrath with the opening point of the game. First blood goes to the Garden County. Wicklow have it back, and there's no doubting the Wicklow attitude. Stephen Kelly involved initially. This is James Stafford, and Stafford, one of the more experienced campaigners, sends in early ball, good ball as well, and a chance here for Shawnee Furlong. He dishes it off, and it's McGrath with his second point of the game, and Wicklow are flying early on here at Dr. Cullen Park.
To kick off the conversation with you, and I was thinking about this again over the last few days of how to get into it, and I wrote down a date that I'll start with. And it's a date in February, but it's probably not the year you think I'd go straight to. So the date is February 16, 2012. Do you remember what happened that day?
February 16, 2012. No.
That was the last time me and you played in the same team together.
Very good. I was thinking it was some kind of a DIT Sigerson game or something.
DCU bet us in Sigerson. We were knocked out.
Out in DCU.
Yeah. 114-7. I saved the penalty and made a good save. We only scored 7 points. You were playing corner forward, so I don't know what you were half the other end.
Yeah, very little, very little.
But I was thinking about that game, I was laughing and being truthful about it. When I go back to that period, for me, I was in the worst spell of my life that I've ever been in. And I was in a counselling room the day before the game, wondering, will I play or will I not, right? And I was thinking, no, I'm fine, I'll get through this game. And, you know, if we win, I'll play the next game. If we lose, that's it, I'm not playing football anymore. So my relationship with football was really, at that point, I didn't really care. I was like, Joe, I'm actually glad this is over. And I was just wondering sort of what your mind would have been like towards football at that stage, on that day.
Yeah, I tell you, probably two different views at that time. On that day, I had missed it. I obviously was out for a period of time where you're sitting lying in a bed, not getting to play any football, do any training. And when you fast forward then again 12 months to when you can play, I was eager. I couldn't wait for every game to come. Couldn't wait for every training session to come. It's probably just the mentality I have. I love training. I love playing football. So it was definitely when I was sitting down doing nothing for the previous year for 3 or 4 months. I take every chance now to play a game, and that one I was looking forward to as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about this last night, and because I remember sitting in the dressing room after the game, like obviously we'd been knocked out, and was looking around and said to you, like, my head was in a different world, like, and the boys around are like, the classic, are we going out tonight? Are we fucking, where are we going? And I was thinking, like, so for me, even at that time, drinking or going out probably wasn't the right mix. And I actually remember looking at you. This is weird. Sometimes these weird things come back to you. Like, I remember just thinking to myself, like, if he's after getting through all that shit and he's done that, like, well, I can get through this shit. Like, and I never said it to you at the time. I never said it to anybody. Probably just not the first time I've ever said it to you. And it was a way, like, it was sort of, it helped me at that time. It was just a thought. It was just like, okay, like, problems come and I'm going to have to face up to this and work through it. I suppose you've touched upon there the time spent in bed over the previous year. And if you don't mind, if we rewind the year, is that okay with you?
Yeah.
And talking about life, I talk about, if I'm with school groups, I talk about life throwing arrows at you and different things and life challenging at different times. But there's life throwing arrows at you, and then I think life threw a fucking cannonball at you. Would that be fair to say?
It depends what way you look at it. Yeah, most people would say that. It was a big shock. Something that you hear a lot around you about people getting sick. For me, it was generally always older people you hear of it. So it was probably a shock being one the somebody that's so young that I'd never really come across it before for somebody so young. But my view of it would be always, as you say, a cannonball thrown at me. I still think of it as a small thing, seen as it was obviously the word cancer was there. It's cancer. But for me, it was a small period of my life. It was something that we could fix with the right help, with the right treatment, with the right attitude. It was fixable. And I always think there's always somebody worse off. So my view of it was, let's get back up and running, get going again, and don't feel sorry for myself. Because the last thing I need or wanted was to feel like that the end was near. So it was always a case of, this is small, we'll deal with it and move on. And just save a thought then for people that actually are worse off, that it's inevitable that it will take them down. For me, it was a case of, no, we get over this and get going again, like, and look forward to the next few years afterwards.
Like, even like when you said the word cancer, like even if I said it, I just sort of find yourself sort of, like, because it's just like it's that word that's, it's not a nice word. I don't think no one particularly associates any nice things with it. And but like the first time, when's the first time that's mentioned to you, or when's the first time that is actually it's said to you that this is what's going on here?
Well, like as you said, the word cancer, it's not nice, and that's because we only hear really the negative stories. And when I got better, I made sure that I would try my best to show that it is beatable, that it's not all doom and gloom. So that is a big part to actually really promote that and show that there is more people surviving than there is losing out with it. For me, first time hearing it was on that day, the February 22nd. We'd the previous week lost in the Sigerson to UL. And
like I was at that, like I was on the bench that day. I was just coming back from groin surgery, like, so I wasn't playing. And remember, it was Johnny's not here today because he's got a bad toothache as well.
Yeah.
That was, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, like I couldn't play. We were there, we were watching it, but just at the time we thought antibiotics for a toothache. I thought that's all right. Like I'll be all right in a few weeks. After game, I just felt so bad. Kind of going home as by myself. I remember thinking like that. Maybe I'll just go to the doctor. And I went to the doctor, and they booked me in for blood tests the following Tuesday. And look,
so at this stage, it's just a toothache.
You've
got some pain.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I'd played the first two games of the league, the previous 2 weekends.
That's National League with Wicklow, like.
Yeah. Against Carlow and Leitrim, and strangely enough, played well.
Right.
Played well, kicked a good few scores, and just in the second game, actually felt a little bit more tired, but still was okay.
To all extents and purposes, everything's just motoring, this pain.
Yeah, no issues as I thought anyway. They said then, the doctor said, look, come in for blood test on Tuesday. Until then, put your feet up and relax. There could be a little bit more than toothache, like they thought, maybe like say glandular fever. So blood test would shut it up. So me being me, I didn't listen to him. I tugged out against London that Sunday. I lined out to play, and struggled for 15 minutes.
Started the game,
Started the game, and it was the first time, the Leitrim game I could play the previous Sunday. But this I couldn't. I was 15 minutes into the game and couldn't function, couldn't run. And
is that is it energy that's just not there?
Pure energy. Pure energy. Couldn't function at all. Eventually I had to turn, put my hand up to the sideline and signal this I can't play.
And what's going through your head there? Is that when you put the hand up and say I can't run here, like what's in your mind there, like?
Funny enough, I can't really remember what was going through my mind at the time, but it's been in my mind of what my mother's thoughts were at the time, which is so strange that how a mother thinks. That apparently my sister caught her crying in the game, and my sister was like, what's wrong with you? Like, she's only been taken off. And my mum, knowing me, said, when have you ever seen John ask to be taken off? So that's kind of what sticks in my head from that period of time. So she knew there was something up. I didn't necessarily know.
Mother's intuition.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So on the Tuesday, I went home. I didn't do anything. I went back up to my apartment, and on Tuesday I went in for the blood test, and they said it'd be about a week before I get results. So I went home, and I was meant to go back to college, and I just couldn't. I just went back home and went to bed and lay down for the day and fell asleep and was just laying in the bed, and I got a phone call at 3:30 saying, John, will you come back down here into the clinic for a chat? So it was only 5 minutes from my house. I went down, and the doctor, the couple of words he said are very blurry for me, but leukaemia was thrown at me, and at the time I wasn't even probably educated enough on leukemia and cancers and to know what the plan was. And he just said, look, have you a way of getting to St. James Hospital? They're expecting you down there tonight.
Right away?
Straight away. Yeah. So that was, I got a call at 3:30. That was like at about 4:00. And the unconditional love is what your family really supply to you. And by 5:30, every member of my direct family and Carol were by my side in the hospital.
How many's in the family?
I have one brother, 2 sisters, mum and dad.
Troops rally very quickly. And mind you, it takes an hour to drive up. And that's not including traffic. So that's within an hour and a half they were there. So I don't know what they were doing, but they were there within an hour and a half. I say there's a few speed limits broke now. But yeah, that was the first day of it, and my first really experience of the word cancer being thrown at me. When the word leukemia is thrown out, right? Like, can you even digest that at that moment in time? Like, you can't, like.
Yeah. Well, look, at the time, I do remember the doctor saying to me, Dr. Holden, he said, "Look, I need to write this down for you because you're not going to be able to remember what's going on. By the time you get to hospital, you won't be able to function. Will you get a lift to the hospital? How will you get there? Do you want me to arrange anything?" And strangely enough, even though it was thrown at me, I was very calm. I think if someone probably told me in advance it was going to happen, I probably wouldn't be so reacted so well. I think it kind of your mind and body reacts in ways that when something like that hits you, it's a case of go crazy or just keep cool. And luckily I was able to walk back to the apartment. I rang Carol, just asked her to come straight home, and she didn't even ask me why. She knew there was something up. She got into the car. She was home. She brought me to the hospital. I rang my mum, and just told her, look, there's something happening here. I'm going into James's, and again, there was no real big questions. It's a case of, right, we'll be there shortly. Yeah. So they're the why your family are so important to you. They surround you and they keep you cool and calm and put you in the right path for the next few months anyway. Yeah,
like you mentioned, it's a term sometimes I use as well, and it's not everyone's comfortable sometimes saying it, but the 2 words is of unconditional love. Like, I suppose even as I'm looking at your face as you were talking there, and you sort of smile even when you think about the family bit. Like when you think back now, like how grateful are you, or how do you feel about what happened, or what came from them at that time?
It's remarkable, really, as in the sport I play, and the work I'm in. You're working so much. You're playing football and training 6 days a week, and it's selfish. It is selfish because you don't see your family enough. I'd be the first to acknowledge that. But that's where they come in, that you don't need to explain to them. You don't need to go and say, look, I'm sorry, I can't be there tomorrow, I can't get down to see you next week, I can't do this, I can't do that. They understand it, they trust it, and they know when the time comes that I will be there when something goes down, and that's just the way they are. They don't put any pressure on me, and at that period I couldn't respect them anymore, just for how they come up and just put an arm around and said, look, we'll deal with this, there's not going to be an issue. And thankfully everybody that we met on that first night was remarkable. There was no panic, no fear, no crying, no anything of a negative vibe.
Right.
It was all just, look, it's a hiccup, we move on. I think that's the way we were all reared in our family as well, like that, get up and get on with it and move on.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting, like in terms of that sort of the calmness about it. I suppose you're thinking, like, I'm reading sort of what you said there, but you're sort of just looking at it going, like, there's a huge problem in front of me, but I just need to navigate it now and do what I need to do to get through this. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Like, as in, by panicking, you're not going to make the situation better. And that was the case. Now, look, there was probably the next day when the doctor was going through the ins and outs of it and confirming everything, that probably didn't go down too well with my dad because he felt a little faint. But apart from that,
like, that's
no.
it for him. Like, even for anyways, there's so much to take in. I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what it's like to be in that room.
Yeah, no, it is, and that's it. Look, you decide on what way you're going to go about it. I chose the route of, let's get it done. I'm not going to moan, I'm not going to complain, and people might be shocked at that because I generally moan and complain about standards all the time. But it is the way it was. It's a case of get on with it, and it's been said to me quite a lot since by the doctors, by the consultants, by the nurses, that has a huge positive effect on your recovery process. Like, my treatment was meant to be 4.5 months, they said, and I was in and out in 3 months.
Right.
And that was simply down to the fact that I never picked up any bad infections, because when chemotherapy kills your good cells as well as your bad cells. So your immune system is low. There's a good chance that you can pick up infections, and it takes you a lot longer to recover from each cycle. And I had 4 cycles, because I kept myself in positive mind frame. I never got run down. I followed their rules by the book. No bad food. They were saying, hey, don't eat certain foods, this, that, and the other, that can help give infections.
Yeah.
So, and that was what I followed. And that positive attitude and the mind frame I went with was luckily something that kind of took that period of time, so shortened it considerably for me.
That first day where you said the doctor there is explaining what the short to medium term future of treatment looks like, and your dad feels a bit faint. Does it at that point is the next 3 months sort of outlined? Are you told at that stage this is what is happening?
Yeah.
And does that help you from your mindset? Does that help you go, okay, I have a defined period now, and let's just this?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's strange. Again, I'm not quite sure of the ins and outs of treatments, but like, there's somebody else could have the exact same leukemia as me, Burkitt's lymphoma, and it could be years treatment. It's just different for how acute it comes. I had an aggressive acute Burkitt's lymphoma, and it was a case of here's roughly what it's going to be. You have 4 cycles. Your first cycle is 16 days of chemotherapy. Your second cycle is 9 days of chemotherapy, and your third cycle is 16, and your fourth cycle is 9 days. And in between that, you're going to have recovery periods, and then 1 or 2 days at home in between each cycle. So that was what was set out, and yeah, I liked having that because I knew my target. I knew what I was going through. It was a plan in place. All my trust was with the doctors. I just done my bit of lay there and give me what you have. It's I like that. I like that system because obviously there's some people that don't know what's coming down the line. They don't know what treatment might work. Like the plan could have changed if I wasn't reacting to treatment. Luckily and thankfully, everything everything was straightforward, and I reacted properly to the treatments.
And that spell of the treatment, are you confined to? You're obviously bed and taking it. Like, are you confined to bed?
Yeah. Well, this is basically I'm in isolation.
Okay.
So it's one bed in one room.
I might sound dumb asking these questions, but I just generally don't know.
Look, no one knows.
Yeah.
No one knows what goes on. Like there's outpatients and inpatients, and there's wards that have 6 people in a room, and there's a lot of different ways about it. But the way my treatment was, it was in isolation. I couldn't be out amongst the as I say, because the immune system was weak. It can be dangerous, as they say. So it was basically my first cycle. I had 26 days in the one room, and only 2 people are allowed to visit at a time. Mm-hmm. We might have got another one or 2 in every now and again, like
a bit of friendly negotiation.
Yeah. No, but that was where I was, and basically every day, lying in a bed, they come in. You get chemotherapy 3 times a day. Basically bags that were inserted into you. It wasn't through your normal needles into the arm. I had a Hickman line that comes in kind of into your chest and down into your heart, which pumps the chemotherapy through your body quicker, faster, and better. And also take bloods from that line as well. So they just come in every day and they lie there. They give you treatment. You get sick. You try and walk around in the room if you can.
Can you?
You can. But then again, it's small room, there's only a certain amount of walking you can do. But you can. But generally, for me, it was lie there, just watch a bit of TV. I generally always had some member of the family with me. And there was one person that really kind of said something to me in that first week that I always stuck by every day. And like at the start, when you hear 4.5 months treatment, you're thinking, my God, 4.5 months. But my manager at the time in the club, Tommy Murphy, just said to me, he says, just every day's treatment is a step closer to recovery. And that's how I saw it. It wasn't how many days is left, it was how many days is gone. There's 1 day that's gone, it's done. There's 10 days, we're getting through this. So the first 26 were tough. The first time I experienced air coming out properly when I walked out of that room for the first time, it wasn't good. It was a different environment. I'd just walked down through the main area of the James Hospital and just felt sick.
Right.
I had to run to the toilets to get sick because fresh air was different to me. So that was another experience that I was thankful to get a bit of air, but it took another day or 2 to get used to it.
Yeah, one of the questions, because I will move on from this as well. I don't want to just keep you in this couple of months as we're talking, but when you said the word isolation there once or twice, like, and obviously look at, like, I've got to know you pretty well over the years, went to college together and different stuff. So like the two John McGrath and isolation don't necessarily mix with me. Like, so you know, happy, outgoing, loves to crack, bit of banter, like, and I understand there, like every day's treatment, like, but was there times when your mindset was really challenged in that period, like genuinely? I had one day that always stands out to me, and that was when I was listening to radio. I was listening to Radio Arts show, and it just happened to be they were talking about some kid. He was a 12-year-old kid that had cancer, had leukemia, and his mother was talking on it, and he had basically everything she said sounded exactly like what I had and what I was going through, and the kid died, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, geez, maybe this won't be all as straightforward as I think. Maybe I won't come out the right side. So that was a day where I kind of had a panic because I was by myself. I was in the room and I was thinking, no one here to console me and just
say,
you and your thoughts.
Relax. Yeah. But look, again, where family come in, after speaking to Carol and I think it was one of my sisters, there's like everybody's different, and that's the one thing I've taken from it as well, that everybody's different. It doesn't matter how fit you are, strong you are, how mobile you are, how healthy you might be, that everybody's recovery is different. And thankfully that was the kind of the one day I had bad, but it was quickly erased from my memory anyway.
And you mentioned at the start, and so that news story, for example, and certain words like cancer, leukemia, all on mind straight away. And don't it's taken many lives, and it's a really tough subject for a lot of people. But one of the reasons why I'm glad you're here talking to me is because you have been you've got through that. I wanted to go back into that spell. I know that can't have been. I'm sure that's not an enjoyable spell to recall. But I just think there's incredible honesty in that. And when you said that the words isolation again, I was thinking of the one question I was going to ask you was even when visitors came, and obviously you've got close family and Carol's there as well. But did you want visitors?
Yeah. I like company. I like being around people. And when you're at first, it was probably a little bit embarrassing, because I'd gone from 12 stone to 10.5 in the space of a week. I was losing my hair. I looked feeble. That's an embarrassment, and something that no one wants your friends or people to see it. But then you accept it, and you think, well, these people are coming here to support me. You wouldn't believe the wall in their hospital that we had pin-ups of cards and support from family, friends, GA
this is in your
players. Room. Yeah, every card we got, we pinned it up. It was remarkable, and I loved when people came in then, because we had a bit of fun. We used to play cards. The lads come in and tell me stories of their nights out during the week. I loved it. It because you still have to have a connection with the real world. Even though you're in isolation, you still have to know what's going on out there. And it was. I loved it. I did love it.
Yeah.
1 or 2 days you'd feel really sick,
of course, yeah,
and you could be just lying there. But generally that everybody knew if it wasn't in the mood, it wouldn't be a long stay. It'd be in and out, just say hello and get out. And that was all. Nothing but respect for any people that really came in, and they knew what kind of form I was in, that they were able to judge it and stay longer if it suited.
As I'm listening to you talking there on that spell, as I said, my brain went back to me there. In the first episode, I spoke with Kevin McManamon about resilience, and as you're talking there, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, this is the most resilient bastard I've ever sat down and talked to, because you say it in a very casual sort of lay back way of had to do this, got through that, okay, and I just absolutely fundamentally respect that. And around the resilience piece, were you always that resilient, or is this something that you step up to? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't know if it's resilient or ignorance. I'm not sure.
A bit of both.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say I've became more resilient from this part of my life. I think I was always very competitive, always very determined in what I wanted to do.
You didn't have to be determined to get past me in the sprints and the fitness test.
Yeah, well, look, there's always somebody that'll catch you. I was always very strong-minded, but when it came to this, it was a simple case of, as I said before, do I feel sorry for myself or what do I do? Yeah. And I never did. And when I came out, there was a couple of things that really stuck in my mind. The last game that of real importance that I played before I got sick was a county final that I lost to Rathnew, one of our biggest rivals, and I got sent off. And for me, I didn't want to be remembered as somebody that his last important game got sent off in a county final against the biggest rivals, and I just didn't want that.
Right.
So I kind of thought, when I was coming back, and I was advised, don't set any targets for football, don't try and do this, don't try and do that, because you'll be set back. And
I'd say you took all that on board, did you?
Yeah, more than likely you won't meet the goals that you set out,
right,
because your body is completely wiped out. You're starting like a baby's body. You have to develop everything in your body to get back on the football field. And then I heard the draw for a club championship, and it was our local neighbours, actually, Kiltegan, and I thought, that's my goal.
Right. Simple as that.
As simple as that. Now I kept that very quiet. I didn't make that known to people.
Yeah, but this is a very individual self for you.
Yeah. So that was the view I had, and I would always expect high standards all the time through sports. I would always expect to be train the best, eat the best, just set as high a standards as I can. But when being vocal about it, I probably would have always thought what people thought about me, or the kind of what's this guy at, or what's he saying, or
so you were worrying about.
I always
how
had that kind of worry. Yeah,
perceived you like.
Yeah, in that at an early stage when I was younger, and after that period of my life, like where I was sick, I just kind of erased that and said I don't care what somebody thinks of me. If I want to achieve something in my life, I will try and get the people around me on that same goal. Like, and there's something I always follow is surround yourself with the people on the same journey as you. Like, and that's where I would always, the direction I'd always take, and I wouldn't care now of what people think of me, if I say something to them, because I want them to experience what I want to go through and what I want to experience. So in that, I grew a little bit of, I don't know whether it's mental toughness, a bit of strength, and just bring that then to everything I do in life. Like, so if something does go bad against me, I just say, "Feck it anyway, I have to turn this around," like that. And I probably have just got stronger and more resilient. And at every negative thing that's hit me, again, look, since that period, I've had a lot of negatives in sports, in football, a lot. And every time something bad happens, I'm just trying to say, like, that can't happen again. We have to learn from that. So I think that period was definitely what made me a little bit more resilient than I would have been before. And something that I always use as a positive.
Yeah.
And like that period of my life, I don't ever look at it as a negative or a bad part. I always just think I learned something from that period, which is good. I know, listening to Kevin Mack about the balance of life he has, that he's able to do this, that and the other outside of it. I've made a decision that because of what I enjoy at the moment in life is playing football, that I will give as much time as I can to it. So instead of going home in the evening and going to a mate's house and just chilling out, I'll go to the pool and I'll go to the gym and just see how I can prepare for the next session. And they're the decisions I've made, because it is a short window. We don't know how long, we don't know what's around the corner. You might not have much more time. We might lose another county final and might be in a bed next year. So I'll do everything I can to make the most out of the last few years I do have. So mind and body at the moment are probably on a par.
Yeah, because like you mentioned Kev, and I really enjoyed that part of our conversation on balance, and it's something that I feel it's really important to me. And I'm like, and everybody's different in these regards. There's no right or wrong. Like, it's just what's right for you. Like, but for me anyway, like my relationship with football, I got through a stage, having come through what I come through, where I felt I needed these sort of 4 or 5 evenly stacked pillars. So when one wasn't going well, I could the others could take the weight or take the slack. And you're saying you're very focused on the football aspect now, but I think the big difference between you at the moment, and because I used to be like that, is you're doing it. It's your decision.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's really interesting outlooks. Like I said, because there's no right or wrong in these things.
Yeah.
And is it just for you? Is it just about getting the most out of that time, that whatever you have? Like,
yeah, it is. Like I've experienced probably in my early 20s. I might have had too much fun and not enough effort with football. Probably relied a little bit too much on a little bit of quality and not the hard work side of things regarding football. And now as you get older, you realise like that's not enough in the game anymore. You have to do, basically, it's about 90% preparation for games rather than actually the game itself. So I've decided that it's something I like at the moment, and it's only when it's really taken away from you, which football was for a few months, that you realise how much you love it. Like, I actually came across something I wrote, which is strange, when I was 20. I actually had it was on my Bevo account. And I remember taking it off years ago, and I found it there a couple of months ago. But I was reading again there last week, and it was just something I wrote just about the game, about the hardship you go through, but at the end of it, it's those those feelings you get after success. And I'm not saying I'm the most successful footballer in the country, but when you do get that small bit of success, that it's worth it. It's worth it, no matter how much hardship you go through. And for me, that's how I tackle it. I know that that's not for everybody. But I'll have, hopefully, 40 years after I retire to
Is your Vivo page still there?
What?
Is your Vivo page still there?
No, Vivo's long gone, but I have that pull there.
God, remember when I got stage, you start applying for jobs and stuff when you come out of college, and then you have to Google yourself to make sure to see what the other people find if they're looking for you. And I find my Vivo page one day, I was like, that has to go.
It has to go, get out.
But now you mentioned when you said success there, I think one of the things that often gets overlooked in sport is that success comes in many different ways at times. So there is obviously, there's winning the All-Ireland, brilliant. Everyone wants to do it, must be incredible. But like when you say success there, and I'm listening to you talking about your absolute love for football, like I'd imagine a hugely successful moment in your life would have been the first time you get back to play football after all this, is it?
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I do.
Where is it? Who is it against?
I had a little bit of a run into it. It was sneaky enough. I used to leave the house and not tell anyone I was going back to train with the club. And I
Where did you tell them you were going?
I just snuck out. I used to tell them. Like after when I first came to the hospital, I was going for walks by myself and gradually getting up to a little jog.
Walking's not meeting the needs, like.
Yeah, a little jog, and then I started into a gym and started developing a little bit myself, and I said I'm going back training. And a couple of training sessions that you're back in it. And I'll never forget, actually, there was one moment where we were doing a bit of a training game, and it was one of the early sessions. I was back and going for a ball, and I took a good hit, and I loved it. I just thought, I'm back. Yeah, I was like, I love, like, I'm back. Like, no one's feeling this guy has nothing to offer us here because he's been sick. People were fearing this fucker's going to get his place back in the team, and that's what I wanted. Because whether you're 1 to 30, there's always somebody pressing. There should be always somebody pressing for a place to push the rest. And I liked it because I was back as well to a place where I was competitive. But it was the bank holiday August weekend.
Sorry, just to put this in the context, you're obviously like this all happens in February, and you go in, you go through your treatment, and
February
you get
22nd.
out May
24th,
and this is August.
This is first weekend of August,
and you're writing hits of training.
The hits a couple of weeks before that. Yeah, our first game back, we played a Carlow team in a friendly, in a challenge game, Donegal, Kildavin, and I remember I came on about 20 minutes left in the game. And I remember our manager, Tommy Murphy, and selector Brian Fitzpatrick. It was two men I look up to so much. They've, between them, I think they've like 21, 22 Wicklow championships.
Right.
One is 13, the other is 11 or 12. Two remarkable men. And they were manager, selector of the team at the time. And I remember the same before the game, like, what kind of condition you in if you want to play? I was like, I'm here to play football. This is why I'm here. I'm not here to sit and watch the rest of them. And I remember getting the nod and saying, John, going in there. And
where'd you go in?
Centre forward. And have you ever? Can you picture a pony running around the field or a foal running around the field? That was it. I was
just galloping, kicking, butt
literally running and jumping and doing everything, arms, legs, everything were flying.
Are you pure joy? Like, is it pure joy?
Pure joy. It was unbelievable, and just I remember getting the pass just 30 yards from goal and turning and kicking over the bar, and I probably didn't think I'd have the confidence after I was going through as well to take on a shot as well, like, and just 30 yards of goal, turn, kicking over, and it was remarkable. It was just a feeling that I'll never forget, and it was great. It was just great to know I was back as well, like, and again a few weeks later, that goal that I had set to play Kiltegan in the championship, which at that stage I've been playing senior club football in Wicklow for 7 years maybe. I don't know, 7 or 8 years, 6, 7 years. And never played our next door neighbours in championship football, and I was like, I have to get back for that game.
Gotta have a bit of this action.
And luckily I was, and came on again with 20 minutes to go. And the one thing that stands out for me as well is the the actual crowd for the game. It wasn't like I actually played underage hurling with Wicklow.
Okay.
And a lot of respect for the club, and just the crowd that day, everybody on their feet, and that was something pretty special as well. Like
that's amazing.
When another team, a team that mightn't like you too much now as a footballer, like but
yeah,
respect the fact that I played with them and
that community support
as well, and just the GA in general, that they were able to stand together and welcome you onto a pitch was pretty fine.
How does that feel to you in that moment? Like,
at that moment,
yeah,
where we were a couple of points down, I was thinking about a win.
Give me the ball.
Yeah, we won. But
it
does.
That applause thing's going on, right? But you don't stop to take that in, do you?
No, I didn't stop taking it.
Give me the ball.
In hindsight, you look at it now, and I know the feeling. I can feel it now. But
yeah,
at
okay.
the time,
that's what was it.
Probably a bit numb. A bit numb. With the enjoyment of getting back on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
with the enjoyment of the crowd and just and the fear of losing as well. So there's a numbness probably there.
Those few like those three markers. So like there's the first one taking that hay of training, right? Second one, kicking point challenge game, and then running on, and that third one. Does those three moments sort of just let you go, okay, line drawn, like moving on now? Does that help you do that?
To an extent, yes. I wouldn't say line drawn at that stage. I wasn't starting. I wasn't back in the team. My body wasn't developed, and I wasn't. Wicklow were finished obviously at this stage, but I wasn't playing county football. And for me, I had to get back to where I was.
Okay.
For that feeling to come. So we had gone on in that championship. We lost a county semi-final, and for me, I hadn't broken back into the starting team, and thought, am I not able for it? Like, and you have those doubts, and the call did come, even without getting that start with the club. That a call came from Wicklow that autumn for they wanted me back in the Wicklow squad, and for me, it was a case of. That's a lot of confidence from the manager. The manager at the time, who was Ratney man, Harry Murphy, and I took confidence from that. But I thought, I'm going back in here. I don't know if I can't play a full club game.
You're doubting yourself if you can do that.
Yeah. There has to be an element of doubt, and thankfully that doubt is what drove me on as well. That again, I'm not going to be remembered as somebody that couldn't get back to where he was. It's like. I know some people just find it very hard to get back to where they were, like, and one you always compare yourself to is somebody who does recruit shit. Like it's so hard to get back to it, but there's something I would hate to be known as somebody that couldn't without trying their best and their hardest to do it. And the start of the following year, we started off, and it was a slow start for me. A couple of niggles as. It was my first year back properly playing, training at inter-county level was tough, so you're picking up a few niggles. I remember
me and you having a few bitching sessions about, because we were both struggling with hip flexors and grinds and lower backs at that time.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough, and it was a slow process. But the day came that I got first start back with Wicklow, coming into, I think it was the second last league game against London. And we won, and we played Clare, and I got to start again in the last league game, and we won, and we were promoted from Division 4, and we played a league final in Croke Park against Fermanagh. This is within 12 months of leaving hospital, and we won a Division 4 title out on the pitch in Croke Park, and feeling that success, that was when I kind of realised, I'm back to where I was, and having probably the confidence to get back a little bit better. Like,
I think the most important thing of the whole conversation that we've been going through is, like, you're obviously sitting in front of me now and you're in the best of health. You're not looking bad either, in fairness. Sleeves are tight on the arms. You're doing okay. But the other thing, you're back now at Wicklow again for a year, aren't you?
Yeah.
And in terms of the club scenario, county champions last year.
Yeah.
So the question I have then is, so you're 30 now, yeah?
Yeah. Just gone 30.
Jesus. I'm only joking. So you've gone back, you've played for Wicklow again, you've won the county championship, and you're going in for another year at Wicklow. What's driving you now to do that?
That word I mentioned earlier, ignorance. I just, I
What do you mean by ignorance?
There's the ignorance that I just. You'll always hear people always say like, what brings you back to Wicklow every year? Like your club, you haven't given a full year to your club, since you were 18. Wicklow, where are you at the moment? I realistically going to achieve something, and for me, it's been able to turn around to them and say, well, whether we achieve something or not, I won't stop until I know that I've given everything I have, and I would like to think that even if we're not successful, that at least I can turn around and say, well, I gave my all.
I did my bit
to try and get there. And for some people, they might retire and think, well, feck it anyway. What was the point? I didn't do what I wanted. For me, it's a great journey. It's a nice feeling. I like looking after myself. I like training. It's different for people that don't like training. Some people just like match day in the summer.
Yeah.
They don't like match day in the winter. They don't like training.
You talk about me?
I love it. There's quite a few people.
Some people, he says.
There are a few, but that for me, I love it. There's nothing I like more. I'll arrange my life around it to get trained, and whether that's club or county. I sat down with my boss in work a few months ago. He was more than happy to help accommodate that if I need to be get down trained, because you're struggling with time. It's a 2-hour journey down with traffic and all down for training. So I'll take all steps I can to try and be the best that I can, in the hope that it might lead to some success.
In terms of going back to Wicklow, then this is your 10th year playing now, isn't it?
This will be my 11th year of
It actually, cause it stuck with what you said there about people saying to you, well, why would you be doing this? Like, you're not going to win that. Like, that must grind your gears a little bit, does it? Like,
yeah, no, it does. Sometimes you can relate to it. You can say, look, that person could be right. At the moment, we don't have too much silverware. At the moment, financially, some people might be losing out. Lads have jobs that it's taken away from. There's a lot of reasons why a player will decide not to play at Wicklow, and I think we're seeing that at the moment at Wicklow, that we are losing quite a lot because of those reasons. But for me, I've said it a number of times that I love playing football, and I could go back home and play with my club and say I love playing football, but I love testing myself, my body, my mind to play at the highest level I can, and that's just me. I can't turn around to every other player in Wicklow and say, look, what the hell are you doing? Cop on. Why won't you play with your county? Because not everybody, people just have different things going on in their life. I'd love to be able to go around and handpick every player in the county and say, you should be playing county football, but we just can't. And it's up to the individuals. If they want to play, they want to play, and if they don't, unfortunately, they can't play. They can't give the time or the commitment.
So I've talked about this as well over the last while. Particularly in football, like, it is fragmented a bit, and it's people are sort of looking at, like, okay, you're Dublin and you're Kerry, and then you've got a chasing pack, and then we've got, like, the teams that are Division 3 or Division 4 or whatever, and I think a common theme across not just them teams, but even I'd go as far as Division 2 is, like, we can't get all our lads to play. The first question I have on that is, what do you think stops them? What's the big thing that says, actually, do you know what, I'm not going to play this year?
The world has changed. There's so many other things going on outside of football now, like, that people just don't actually find football as important as some people, and me included, might portray it to be. Like, it's not the be all and end all. So that's a big thing, that people have so much going on. Like, the world is a nice place, people want to travel it. money is nice to have. People need to make it. So that has to be the first thing. If they don't see they're going to get as much out of it. Now, for me, Dublin find it an awful lot easier to get players to play for them because one All-Ireland medal is worth 10 years work experience. So that's the reality of it. Some people like silverware. If you're not realistically going to get silver at the end of the year, if you don't have a good chance of it, people are saying, well, why would I bother? So for me, there are two big things that are standing out, and some people don't like the journey to it. Some people just like the destination, the end of it, the silverware or what they're getting out of it.
That's not how the world works. Like,
yeah, like for me again, I like the journey. I like keeping fit. I like eating well. I like just training. I like getting into the car and going down to training and being on the pitch. So sometimes that's nearly more important than that silverware at the end of it.
So I asked you about what might be putting people off playing, right? What can we do to actually get those people to play? And you're never going to get them all. Like, no. And it's sorry, but this is not just a Wicklow thing. This is this is GA across the board at the minute. Like, bar maybe your one or two that that everyone knows about. But a lot of the large majority of counties, I guarantee you have 2 or 3 boys that they can't. Reel back in.
It's probably something I've been very vocal about lately. When I use it in the context of the number one team in the country at the moment, we say is Dublin.
Yeah, no one's disputing that.
We'll say, for example, we'll just say at the moment we're Wicklow. We would say at the bottom end, and Wicklow looking at closing the gap to Dublin. It's not realistic. No matter what you do, it's not realistic. Of being consistently as good. I'm not saying we're not going to, if we got a 1-on-1 the odd time, but anything can happen, 1 in a million chance. But no, it's a case of you can't close that gap at the moment. It'd take years upon years upon years. So for me, it's about level playing field. Like we all know how good the league is at the moment, how competitive it is. I can't understand why there is not a senior, intermediate and a junior championship in football. Like we have it in every county in the country. We have it in hurling. I can't understand why it's not. And again, I'm not saying that Wicklow would win it and beat the number 17, 18, 19, number 20 team. But I know for sure that we close that gap between 32, 31, 30 to that number a lot easier. And people will find they come back out of the woodwork to start playing because they know that's something we could compete in, and it's a big thing. And I just can't understand why we're not getting the backing for that.
I think what scares a lot of lads off in Jay at the moment is just that it is the training and the volume of training. I don't think anyone minds training.
No,
but it's. And I was going to ask you if you agree with it or not, or maybe it's just me in my head. But it's the training v the number of games.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like I know for the 2016 last year, Wicklow played, I think it was 10 games in 13 weeks. I think that was it, between the O'Byrne Cup and the National League.
So you're January 1st to end middle of April, say.
Yeah, right. That was in muck, rain, manure, pretty much. And then we had a break of, I think it was 6 weeks to the championship, and then we had another 4 weeks. So we played 2 games in 10 weeks in the summer in lovely conditions.
Yeah, when everyone wants to run around and
all you want to do is play football. So like even tonight we're training tonight, and all you're doing is craving football. You just want to play football, match, a game, something.
Starting to dry up a bit.
Yeah, but I 100% agree that it's just strange that to think that we're not having enough games, but not enough competitive games, and just the structure just isn't appealing to a player. Like,
look, we're not going to answer that question today. But it's like, and I said, look at you're back for a 10th year, and I don't get wrong, I fully respect that. But I just think at the moment it is challenging a lot of people's love, and just it's just something that I've thought about a lot. I was just curious what you thought about it. But look, we'll not get bogged down in championship structures. I think we'll be here for another 3 hours. But what I was going to, because I'm going to wrap up over the next couple of minutes. But I'm going to move on from football, and I'm going to sort of finish out. I've done it with Brendan, I've done it with Kev as well. I've just pulled out 2 pictures from the archives, and I've got you in 2007 playing for Wicklow. That be right, 2007?
Yeah.
And that's obviously you far more recently. The arms have obviously got bigger. Look at the jersey hanging off you. The old kit was gas.
Yeah.
But I suppose the big thing, or the question I've been finishing out with the lads, and it's always interesting, is if you pick out one big lesson from between there and there that you take with you and that you carry with you now, as you move forward into the rest of life, what is it? What do you take with you?
Before, we say pre-cancer time, I probably would have a reaction to a lot of things. I wouldn't have been really positive. I wouldn't have been really motivated. Relied a lot on kind of just tipping away and going through the motions.
Flow.
And that was me. I think since then I've become a lot more self-driven, a lot more motivated, setting high goals, not just setting a goal, setting high goals. And I think something that I try to really bring to where I am is that I try to encourage that into other people around me. And that's important, I think, because just worrying about myself isn't good enough. I think we need to kind of think about other people around me as well, like, and bringing that into whether it be their teammates.
Is that frustrating at times?
Frustrating? Yeah, it can be. Because, as I say, not everybody goes with the one direction. But I like to surround myself with people going that direction. But I probably, when I was young, that picture, 2007, I probably didn't have anybody with an arm around me telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing. I never had that probably with football wise. I never had the players that kind of told me this is right and that's wrong, or that's wrong and this is right. So I'd like to think like that, like I could help out in that regard. There's some players around me and kind of just grow up a little bit and show a little bit of maturity and leadership in that regard. Yeah,
I think it strikes me that just a very heightened sense of focus, I think, would be something that's coming through there. More power to you, like. I'm gonna wrap up and finish up now, but just first of all, I obviously just want to thank you for your incredible honesty throughout the whole last hour or so of discussion that we've had. We've covered lots of different things, and you said something to me earlier on in the interview that stuck with me, is around that we always only hear the bad stuff, and that's something that I'm taking away with me today as well. Like actually helping to promote good stories at times. And look, I know you're sitting across me, you're in good health, thankfully, looking sharp, moving sharp, I'm sure. But I think the big thing for anyone listening as well is that you're not, don't take it the wrong way, but you're not some like freak, incredible Hulk type figure that just a once-off man that was able to do this. Like, people go through different stuff at different times. Sometimes it's more serious than others, but that also can come through those things. And I think that's an important lesson to share. And I just want to thank you again for sharing that, because I think even I'm already thinking in my head, you've channeled some of my thinking on some things. And I found some of that discussion a bit inspiring, to be honest. So I just want to thank you for honesty again, and wish you the best of luck football wise, obviously, unless you're playing against Cavan at any stage during the year, but also off the field as well, and with Carol and with work, and just your own life as you move forward. Because I think wherever you are, be it in a team, in a work environment, or within a group of lads, I think positivity and good stuff just glows off you, and I think wherever you are, people are lucky to have you. So thank you, and the best of luck with everything.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Sheldon.
So that's it for another week, and I really hope you enjoyed listening to the incredible John McGrath as much as I did. Make sure you don't miss out on any future episodes by heading over to realtalks.ie to subscribe to the show, or just search for Real Talks on whatever platform you are listening on today. There you can also find previous episodes with Tipperary's Brendan Maher and Dublin's Kevin McManamon, two fascinating characters who cover topics like leadership, resilience, a love of goals, and finding a balance between sport and life. If you want to get in touch with me, you can get me on Twitter at AOMTheCat or through Real Talks IRL. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Kelly Bradshaw Dalton, for supporting this podcast. Over the years, they have gone above and beyond to help me find suitable accommodation, and their customer service is second to none. To find out more about them, go to kbd.ie. My name is Alan O'Mara, and you've been listening to an episode of the Real Talks podcast.